Welcome to this fantastic day and episode of Leadership Unfiltered. Today we're going to be talking about finger pointers, and also known as folks that are made of Teflon. They're happily to participate and take participation in things that are going well, but the moment something goes wrong, it's someone else's fault. They had no responsibility for it, cannot see the role that they played in it. And that can be very troublesome for a team. And it's important as a leader that you're able to handle it, that you are able to respond and make sure that you're managing that behavior in a way that invites them to have the conversation and in a way that lets the rest of the team know that that type of behavior isn't appropriate. I'll open with a story. I had someone on my team who was a high performer. They absolutely worked hard. So there wasn't an issue with effort. There wasn't an issue with capability. But they could not handle criticism. And they could not handle what things would go wrong and things would go bump. But they always do. And this person would be very passionate about how it wasn't their fault. Well, it was this situation. Well, they didn't do what they were supposed to do. I didn't have this resource. And so there was just a series and litany of excuses. I began to hold them accountable. It's like, well, regardless of all of those things, this was still your responsibility. Regardless of all of those things, this was still yours. And as the excuses started to fall away, their response was to say that I don't like them.
Took it very personal.
They took it very personally. It's like, well, you must not like me. I'm like, this has nothing to do with whether or not I like you. I do. I like you very much. I'm happy to have you part of the team. Here are the great things that you bring to this team. And here are the areas where you need to improve. And there was always just a litany of excuses. And for me, it took 6 months of constantly going back and saying, this is another example of where you're exhibiting this behavior. Here's another example where you're exhibiting this behavior. Here's another example where you're exhibiting this behavior. Turning point for them was when they saw me treating someone else, performance managing someone else the exact same way. When I said the exact same words that I said to them, I said, well, yes, I understand that those things happened. Yes, it is true that those things happened. It is also true that this was your responsibility. Both things were true. And when they were able to see that, oh, this isn't personal, that last excuse fell away. Like, no, I'm treating everyone exactly the same.
Yes.
If it's yours, it's yours.
Yeah.
Some mistakes that I've made in the past, have been where I time travel with the person.
Yeah.
And I go, you're right. Those things are some of the contributing factors to why this fell out this way.
Yeah.
And I let them off the hook.
Yep.
And I thought that made me a compassionate leader. And while it does...
And don't forget to explain time traveling.
Yes.
I know we may have talked about it in some earlier episodes, but that's such a key point that I don't want our audience to miss when you say time traveling, what that means.
Thank you. So time traveling is where you, as the leader who needs to be holding reality in the present, go to wherever that person is in their time. So when they're talking and they're saying, well, this person didn't do this, and this person, and that happened, and I didn't have this, that person isn't present. That person is reliving that experience that they had in the past. They are time traveling. They are also time traveling. The question is, do you time travel with them?
Yes. Do you go back to that place?
Do you go back to that place?
Yes.
That is the vast majority of the time a mistake as a leader. There are situations where it's appropriate, but the vast majority of the time, and it is always inappropriate if you're performance managing.
Yes.
Always
Yes.
inappropriate. if you're performance managing.
Coaching, performance managing.
Coaching, performance managing. If you what you're trying to do is for if the purpose of the conversation is for them to take away having learned something,
Yes.
then time traveling is not helping that person.
Right.
It is compassionate. It's not helpful.
Good.
In those types of conversations, your primary goal is to be helpful, not at the expense of compassion, but in addition to.
Good.
Thank you for that.
Good.
When I have not necessarily gotten it right, is when I did that. Is when I time travel with the person. I let them off the hook. And the learning that I intended to impart didn't happen. And ultimately, that doesn't help me. That doesn't help them. That doesn't help the team. And so it's really important, when you're dealing with those types of situations where they're struggling to accept the role that they played in the situation, to hold them to the responsibilities and the accountabilities that they hold.
Yeah, that's good. Some definitional things that I love this conversation, because whether we are explicit about pointing fingers, or another term would be laying blame.
Yes.
We all do it. And so I don't want our audience to think you're going to get rid of this out of your culture. Even as a leader, we do this. It shows itself when a problem occurs. When a problem occurs, whether it's in life or business, you as a human being, your mental model is to try to figure out what went wrong and who else might be involved. And the who else might be involved is our opportunity mentally to say, oh, well, there's someone else to blame for this. And that's just a way that we cope with life and business decisions when a problem comes up, is to figure out if I'm in this alone or if I've got a partner in crime, if you will. Don't beat yourself up for laying blame, because it's the way we cope. What I don't want people to do, and I don't want my team or peers or people that I'm coaching, is to stay there.
Yes.
Because people can camp out there, they can build a home there, they can live there. I know people in my family that no matter what conversation you're in, they will find a way to point fingers and lay blame. And so they live there. That is their default position. And I can't, as a leader and a coach, it's malpractice.
Yes.
To allow somebody to stay in that mindset. And so I do what I can to try to coach them out. Now, that may take several conversations, but that's my duty as a leader and a coach and a parent, spouse, is to try to help that person grow. And the way to grow is to take ownership. And I always want to put definitions around things. So when we say take accountability, ownership, responsibility, and we use those words interchangeably, they are not the same, but we use them language-wise interchangeably. We're talking someone who is not laying blame is someone who understands by definition their power and ability to create, choose, and attract, which basically, I'm going to actually pause there for a second and repeat that definition.
Yes.
Because this is where people get stuck in coping. And there's a lot of different ways to cope. We're talking about one of them, which is lay blame. But people who take ownership, accountability, responsibility for problems that come up, for decisions that need to be made, they own their power and ability to create, choose, and attract, which means every place you find yourself, every situation that you are in, you created it. You made a choice that brought you into that situation, or you attracted it. And attraction is not a mysterious word. It just means that all human beings have energy. Everything is moving all the time. The world is vibrating. We're always moving, and that movement creates energy.
Yes.
And like energy creates like energy. And so if you are a positive person, if you have a positive outlook, if you're taking ownership, you'll attract more of that. If you have a negative outlook, very pessimistic about a situation or a decision, you will attract more of that. And so I just look at people and study people who are responsible as a default or more responsible. Again, you can never be 100% responsible or accountable 100% of the time. It's just not possible for any human being. But those people who more default in that, those are the characteristics. They are owning that I have a role to play in this. This situation, this problem that we are in, I'm a part of it. I can't step away from it and say, well, it was this or that or these people that caused that. And while that may have some factual truth to it, the other part that is true is that you also play a role in this.
Yes.
And that role is you created it,
Yep.
you chose it, or you attracted it. Once you can get that definition, it will change your world. Because now you see things differently. You say, wait a minute. If this is not what I want, if this is a problem I don't want to have, then you mean I just need to make a different choice? Or I need to change my energy and I can resolve this issue? Those people are the ones that you really see advancing in life. And so laying blame is a way to cope. What we try to do as leaders and coaches to try to get people to see their role in it. But it's tough. It's tough when you've got somebody entrenched in it. And it's hard when you don't see it yourself. There's even times we lay blame on things that don't exist. We make stuff up and lay blame.
Yep.
One of my classic examples of laying blame is misplacing something that I was the last person to touch it. Now I can't find it. And my mental mindset says, who moved it?
Yes.
Who hid it from me? Why did somebody touch this? And the truth of the matter is, I was the last person. I actually hid it from myself, trying to hide it from other people. I was like, I don't want nobody else to touch this, so I'm going to put it over here. Now I can't find it. But I immediately lay blame on other people who aren't even around. When I ask who misplaced this, there's nobody else in that story at all. But my first place to at least explore is, did somebody who moved my cheese? Right? And so we do it all the time. Again, don't beat yourself up for being in that position, but want to grow from it. It's the people that continue to do it that cause me the most heartburn.
You said a couple of things. One that is very much I want to circle back to, and one that's tangential that we'll have to maybe do another episode about. But you list there are other coping mechanisms.
Yes.
It's slightly related to this conversation, the other coping mechanism. And so people who are, I shouldn't say people. I'll speak for myself. I'll speak for me. I am a highly responsible person. Part of that comes from shame, which is I make sure that the things that I sign up for, that I deliver on, because I don't want to feel shame around not delivering it.
Yes.
And while I don't point fingers outward, I do tend to point fingers inward.
Yeah.
And so we should have that conversation. I know that's not this one.
Yes, that is a good conversation.
But we should have that conversation.
And a very good point that you can lay blame on self.
Yes.
Which is shame.
Yes.
That's a great point.
The other point that I wanted to circle back around to is that concept of and, which is it's all true, right? So yes, those things did happen. Yes, that is something that we should look into. Absolutely. So the fact that you didn't have that resource, we should look into that. The fact that that person didn't do what they were supposed to do, yes, we should absolutely look into that. The fact that you hid it from yourself, yes, we should look into that.
Maybe some therapy involved in that.
But it doesn't change the other fact. They're both true.
Yes.
That is what I found to be the most effective way to kind of break through. When you're having that conversation, it's not to get into the debate about whether or not those things are true.
Yes.
Like, don't debate that.
Correct.
It's like, okay, let's assert that that is true.
Yes.
Right? It's still your responsibility.
Yes.
To have either had some contingency plans, to have asked for help, to have done all these other additional things so that you were actually able to be successful. Mm-hmm. And where I, as a leader, struggle, and this recently played out for me on the personal level, which is I'll ask, do you need anything? As a leader, I will ask my team this repeatedly. Do you need anything? How can I help? Are there any roadblocks in your way? And this is where I had to do my work and continue to do my work. To then at the end of it say, well, I didn't have all of this stuff. Well, well, this person wasn't doing what they were supposed to do. Well, where was that when I asked if you needed anything?
Yes.
Well, if you didn't have the resources, if you needed more time, whatever it is that you needed, why did you wait until you missed to say something?
Yes.
And so that's work I had to do and continue to do as a leader and as a person to make sure that I remain compassionate, because my compassion can leave if I offered help, you didn't take it, and then you missed.
Yes.
And that, again, recently played out for me personally, because I'm doing a home renovation project, and my interaction with the folks that are doing the renovation, some feelings were hurt because I'm not number one or number two when it comes to accountability. It's like, if you say you're going to do something, then you need to do that. And I'm going to hold you to it. And I realized that a lot of folks aren't used to that.
Yeah.
Being held to delivering what they say. And going back to my other point, because I tend to point inward and I hold myself to a high bar, which again, we should have that conversation. Yes. And I expect that in return. So that is one of the places where I expect reciprocity. It's like, if you say it, then you need to do it. And if you say it to me that you're going to do it, I'm going to hold you to it. Now, you can negotiate it. You can change it. You can say, hey, I thought I could do this, but I really can't. And that's another thing as a leader, we have to have that flexibility. Like, if we want folks to have that sense of being able to ask for help, you want to avoid holding someone accountable, causing a lack of safety in the environment.
Yeah.
You have to do both as a leader. Yeah. You have to create the safe environment, and you have to hold folks accountable. And so you have to constantly seek to see if there's anything that you can do. And at the same time, make the appropriate action to ask for help and resources prior to it becoming due.
Right.
Because the consequences of missing cannot be avoided.
Right. Yes. And so the question is why, in my mind. Why? We talked about laying blame being a coping mechanism. Yes. But why? Why do people cope that way? Unconscious underlying theme here is they are trying to get away from the problem. There is a problem, and I want to distance myself from the problem. And the way to do that is to shift the problem on to someone else. That removes me from the problem. Or so unconsciously they think.
Right.
As a leader, I'm going to bring you back because there's no growth. There's no growth in shifting blame, because then you don't see where you could do different, better. There's alternatives, different opportunities. You don't see any of that. And if I allow you to shift that blame, then neither one of us really grow.
Yes.
Right? And so I have to stay in accountability with that person so that I grow and learn as a leader, because people's shifting of that responsibility of that problem onto someone else comes in different ways. And so I need, as a leader, to be able to recognize that you are laying blame and be able to coach you through that.
That's very good.
And so that's my learning and growth. And if I allow you to escape and shifting blame and say, oh yeah, well, let me go talk, let me go fix it this way, then I didn't grow either. And so that's important for the leader to stay in accountability with that person. Again, not to beat them up, not have compassion through it or care about that person, but you're really trying to help them grow as a person, again, in life and business. So just understanding that why is they're trying to distance themselves from that problem. And here's the thing, if you let it go and you don't hold them accountable, what I always tell people, shifting the problem onto someone else, the problem didn't go away.
Exactly.
The problem still exists.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, there's probably a bigger problem for
Yes.
the leader who now has to figure out how they're going to address the problem and it not addressed at the root.
Yes.
The root was with that person. Now you're trying to go solve a problem in a whole different direction, which is going to take you many more steps and hoops to jump through to try to solve that same problem if you just stayed in accountability and responsibility with that individual who could really solve that problem.
And something just hit me as you were talking through that, which is I think one of the reasons why I have to manage myself as I'm having those conversations with people is because you're right. They're attempting to shift the blame to either something or someone. Mm-hmm. And because I point my fingers inward, I feel they're shifting the blame to me.
Ooh.
Which is why inside me, I'm having the reaction, well, I offered you all of this stuff.
Yes.
And so it's in response to that. That is fascinating. That just hit me as you were talking about that. And so now I understand why.
Yes.
I understand why. And that reaction is me trying to take the blame that they've shifted to me, that I've sensed that they've shifted to me, and trying to shift it back to them.
Yes.
Which, how you do that is what matters.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Because ultimately they did hold the accountability. Yeah. But if I'm doing it from a place of, no, you don't get to blame me, that's not going to be helpful.
No.
If I do it from a place of, let's make sure we're both growing here, as you said, that's where you get to have the conversation. That is so good, man. Yeah. That is so good.
That's good. That's good. Yes.
You also mentioned something else, and I'm not sure I can pull the thread at the moment, but I think that is really, that's very helpful, and I think it's going to, I think my epiphany is probably going to help some other people out there as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. And again, we all do it. Mm-hmm. Just lay blame. Would love to talk about, because it feeds, if you don't address it, it will feed into those other coping mechanisms. It doesn't stop there. That's the other point. I don't stop at just laying blame.
Yes.
If I'm able to, if the leader lets me off the hook and says, those are all true facts that you stated, let me go figure out how to address that.
Yes.
And they just let that person off the hook. That person doesn't just stop growing at lay blame. They then start into these other coping mechanisms that we'll get into in some other episodes. But that's the other problem in not helping people grow in responsibility and accountability, is because they don't stop coping. Life keeps evolving and you start finding different ways to cope. And again, it's all human. It's all natural. We have many ways. We're complicated human beings. And so we have many ways to cope with things. Laying blame is just one. But if you start helping them grow there are levels to this. And so you want to start helping them grow, because they're going to hit a new level of coping that if they don't get the foundational levels, it's going to get harder as you go. And some of these higher levels, I'll call them, of coping really disguise themselves really well.
Yes.
To where you will think and people will applaud you and say, you are being really responsible here. You are taking full accountability. And it's what we call pseudo accountability or pseudo responsibility. You are still coping. Mm-hmm. You are not fully owning it. You do not embrace your power and ability. And that's something we didn't talk about in that definition of your power and ability to create, choose, and attract. We focused on the create, choose, and attract because that's important. But there's a first piece to that definition of power and ability. Most people are coping because somewhere in that problem that they are now experiencing their own shame, hurt, trauma, all of these emotions come up. they lose their power and ability. So in other words, they no longer even feel like they could solve the problem. I no longer have the power and ability to solve this problem, so I have to shift it to somebody else.
Yes.
Which now leads you into those higher levels of shame and obligation and all these other things. So a very important part of the definition of responsibility, ownership, accountability is you have the power and ability to solve this problem. You have the power and ability to create something different, to make a different choice, to attract something different. You have the power and ability to do that. And as soon as you give that power and ability away, you will continue to cope and that problem doesn't go away.
Thank you for saying that, because it pulls on the thread that I couldn't pull earlier, and now I can pull it, which is that power and ability is so important, and it connects to creating that environment as well. Because some of the empower and ability that you have to hold in order to hold that person accountable in a caring, compassionate way, you have to give to them to hold you accountable as well.
Yes.
Because like you said, we're human.
Yes.
And we fall down.
Yes.
And so if you create the space where your folks on your team can call you out and hold you accountable for when you are making an excuse.
Yes. Yes.
You are laying blame.
Yes.
You are justifying.
Yes.
When it was something you were supposed to do specifically for them, that's magic.
Yes.
That is where you created that space where they have that, they feel that power and ability.
Yes.
I will speak for myself. I won't say it's hard. I found that very difficult to create that environment. I've done it a couple of times, right? I would say I've probably done it twice. I've probably created that environment twice. And it definitely came out of practice. And as I grew in my leadership ability. But it was difficult, one, because my mind runs very quickly. And so I can come up with an excuse super fast and it will sound good to me.
Yes.
And then I can sell it.
Yes.
But you have to catch yourself in saying, hey, do I care more about my ego in this situation? Or do I care more about whether you're right or wrong doesn't matter. But in that situation, do you care more about them exercising that power and ability and reinforcing them exercising that power and ability?
Yes.
And so there have been several moments later in my leadership career where I felt that I was justified in taking the action. But I stopped and I said, while I feel I was justified, they don't feel that I was justified.
Yes.
And what matters in this moment is not how I feel, it's how they feel.
Yes.
And that has been very helpful. Now, again, I'll speak for myself. I found that extremely difficult to do in real time.
Yeah.
I'm able to do it upon reflection, but I found it very difficult to do in real time. And I've only been able to do it much later in my leadership career. But I would offer to the folks listening, if you're able to do that, if you're able to set aside your own ego when confronted with a mistake that your team is pointing out, because the amount of courage it takes for someone who reports to you to point out that you have made a mistake, regardless of how they do it. Honoring that is more valuable than whether or not you happen to be right or wrong in that situation.
Yes, that's good. I'll give you an exaggerated example of laying blame and trying to coach somebody out of that coping to a place of responsibility or ownership. I was working with a group of folks and a team of people. And I shouldn't say a team of people because they were from an intact team, just a group of individuals. And as I'm working through some definitions and trying to teach them this model of responsibility, one of the persons says, well, let me get this straight. So I really don't, let me give you an example. Okay. I don't like my job. And so what I hear you saying is that if I wanted to own my power and ability to create, choose, and attract, the reason I don't like my job is because I have a boss that sucks. Then I should just quit my job. That's taking ownership. I have the power and ability to quit my job. And I said, well, whoa, wait a minute, time out. Because now you are twisting the definition. And I get you're just trying to make a point to get clarity. Let me provide some clarity. And the clarity was, number one, I asked him if they were married, and he was. And I said, whatever you do, do not go home and tell your wife that you got from this conversation that you can quit your job. Because I'm not telling you that. That's a conversation between you and your wife. But that is not what this definition is about. You are laying blame on your boss. You said you have a boss that sucks. And therefore, because of that relationship, you feel the need to possibly quit your job. He said, yes. I said, well, ownership would say you are going to choose to find another job because you want another job, not because your boss sucks. He says, but I got to work. I didn't ask if you had to work. That's a true fact. I'm assuming that's a fact. You have to work to provide for your family. Not debating facts here. What I am debating is why you are wanting to go to a different job. If it's because your boss sucks, then that is laying blame, and you have just given your power to the boss.
Yes.
To someone else. Someone else is now making the decision for you.
Say that again for the people in the back.
You're laying blame on someone else, has given them power, and now they are making a decision for you.
Yes.
I said, if you want another job, go find another job. It's because you want it. And back to the definition, you have the power and ability to create it. Or you can make a choice to do different. Whether that be a different job, find a different place in the organization, have a different conversation with the boss. Does the boss know they suck in your mind? Have you had that conversation? Maybe not in those explicit words, but that's a conversation, right? Or what are you attracting? I had a conversation with a gentleman, different guy, but very similar, just to close that example. And he says every time, he was a very technical person, and every time he went in with his senior leaders, he would ask them these very intricate, detailed, technical questions about his operation. And he says, those bosses don't know anything. And I said, because they can't answer your technical questions? And he says, yes. So the energy, and this is what I get to with this attraction, the energy that you bring into the room when you get in there with those senior leaders is that you're going to lay down how smart you are. That's an energy that you're bringing. And I said, and how does that working for you? And he was like, I think I'm going to be fired. And I said, well, because the energy says I'm smarter than you. I'm not in here to collaborate with you. I don't need anything from you other than to prove to you I know more about the operations than you do. And I said, and first of all, that's not their job. It's to know the detailed operations. As the senior leaders, they're making decisions and trying to work on the business. You're working in the business. And so bring a different energy into that room, attract something different, make a different choice, have a different conversation. Some examples of what laying blame and what, owning your power and ability to create, choose, and attract, how that shows up.
That is really good, because I hadn't yet made that connection between coaching someone to take that responsibility for and holding them accountable and helping them see their part in it, to how that may show up in other areas. How that shows up in terms of the energy you bring into a room. Like, I hadn't made that direct connection. I think I had it probably indirectly, but you're 100% right. There's a direct connection between your ability to hold on to your accountabilities and hold on to your responsibilities, and being really clear about that internally, and how you show up. Meetings, and how you show up. And what's fascinating, I always learn so much from
these conversations.
Yes. What's fascinating is I can now map that to my own journey. I can see when my quote unquote executive presence showed up.
Yes.
My executive presence showed up when I was able to hold on to my accountability.
You were owning it.
When I was owning it.
Yep.
I was like, and that's when I could walk into any room
Yes.
with anybody in it and be me.
Yes. There's an energy to coping.
Yes. Oh, say that again. Say it again.
There is an energy to coping.
Yes.
When you are laying blame, when you are justifying, when you're in obligation, that shows up as energy. Again, I can't say this enough, is that the world, everything we are doing is vibrating.
Yes.
All the time. Nothing is stationary.
Yes.
And because we are in constant vibration, that energy is always moving. And if you are coping, that is energy. That vibration is coming through and it's showing up in the room. It's showing up as lay blame. You don't have to say it.
Yes.
The energy is there. It's present. Yes. And as soon as you can own it, you will change the energy for yourself and the energy in that room.
And here's what is, and now I understand why. That's what's amazing. Now I understand why. So there was a situation, we were deploying this several $100 million implementation, hundreds of millions of dollars. And I was responsible for delivering it. And I had senior executives, all very much concerned. And they, from my perspective, were not holding up their end of the bargain. I said, when we went into this, I said, this is what I have. And I said, this is what I need from you. I said, I've delivered. And then when it came time for you all, now granted, my team is in the room while this conversation is going down. My team is watching me hold my leadership accountable.
Yes.
And I didn't, and afterwards, some of my team asked, you just told the senior team, the vice presidents and your senior VPs, that they weren't doing their job. Oof. And they're asking me, because they watched me do it.
Yeah.
Now, granted, some of it was because I was very unhappy because they didn't do it.
Yes.
But I did it respectfully.
Yes.
And one of the VPs who weren't catching it texted me afterwards and said, wow, that was impressive. Because I laid it out factually. Here are the things that I asked of you all, and here's how I did not get it. What you're saying is like, now I understand why I was able to do it. Because they asked me, my team asked me, how are you able to do that?
Yes.
And I didn't have a good answer, other than it needed to be done.
Yes.
Because we need that. We need them to do we need them to do it.
Yes.
Otherwise, we all fail.
Yes. Yes.
And so they're like, well, how were you able to do it? I'm like, it needed to be done. But now I have an answer. It's because I was fundamentally clear around the accountabilities and the responsibilities that I needed to hold. And I had previously communicated to them, which they agreed and then didn't do.
Yes. And you were in full power.
Full power. Full 100% power. Because at the end of the day, I'm like, it's not like I'm wrong.
Yes.
No lies were told.
Yes.
If I'm doing the right thing caused negative consequences for me, that meant I didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to swear. When it comes to having zero fucks left to give,
Yes.
because that's where I was.
Yeah,
I was in that. I was like, I have zero left to give.
Yes.
Because I can't afford personally to have this enormous investment fail because of however you may be feeling about what I'm about to say. As long as I'm respectful and I'm delivering it caring in a factual manner, and I'm doing it professionally, if that has negative ramifications, then I didn't need to be there anyway.
Yes.
And that's when you get to that place of presence.
Yes.
And I know this wasn't directly the topic.
Yes. Yes.
And this turned into somewhat of a therapy session for Philip.
Yes.
And I'm okay with that. But bringing this back to the topic that we were discussing, which is finger pointing.
Yes.
And having folks on your team that struggle with taking responsibility and seeing the role that they played in it. We talked a lot about a variety of things, but we did absolutely touch on how to do that coaching. How do you manage yourself through that coaching? What's the objective that you're trying to achieve, which is that learning for them? How to make sure that some of the traps that you can fall into, mainly time traveling, is something to avoid, and the benefit that you get if you give it to them. If they get that learning, if they get that skill set, it will benefit them, not just in that situation, in similar situations, but a variety of situations that are on the surface seemingly unrelated. Yeah. So thank you for joining us for this episode, and we'll see you later. Thanks for tuning in to Leadership Unfiltered. We hope you have found value in our conversation and are ready to take action in your leadership journey. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, share, and leave us a review. And don't forget to connect with us on social media for more leadership insights and resources. Until next time, keep leading with purpose.